Hey friends, welcome back into another reading. Today's reading is all about your ideal work or job or career environment. So in today's reading, we're going to find out what sort of work environment fits you the best. If you are interested in checking out any of my other readings on career, I do have that in my playlist. So check out my channel Tidal Tarot if you feel called. And if you are interested in checking out my personal development and spirituality podcast, I have that linked for you in the description. And if you feel like exploring my online shop, I have a ton of crystals and fun things in there for you to explore. So I have that all linked for you in the description. Okay, friends, so if you are new to pick a card readings, here's how it works. The first thing that you're going to do here is you are going to pick the pile or the crystal that you are the most intuitively drawn to. So we have pile 1 here with the clear quartz crystal. We have pile 2 here with the tiger's eye crystal. We have pile 3 here with the Labradorite crystal, and then we have pile 4 here with the Lapis Lazuli crystal. You can choose one pile, you can choose more than one pile, you can choose all of them. It is totally up to you. But when you are ready, go to the description of this video and find the timestamp that's linked to your pile so you can skip ahead to your reading all about your ideal work or career environment. Thank you so much for letting me read for you, and I will see you on the inside. Hi pile 1, hi friends. So let's talk about your current work energy. Let's talk about what's not working, what might be working. So the first card that we have here is the Death card in reverse. So this can represent things like stagnation, maybe having a bit of a fear of change or holding on to the past in some way. So I'm wondering if for some of you, maybe some of the challenges that you might be facing is either like maybe clinging to an old job or an industry or a role that's really no longer serving you, right? So I don't know if some of you here are staying in a job out of fear of uncertainty or because you feel like you've invested too much time to leave. So for example, maybe for some of you, you are working in, let's say, real estate or finance or some sort of administrative role that no longer aligns with your intellectual drive, and I feel like some of you are hesitating to move forward. I also wonder if some of you here are feeling that fear of making the leap to something new. So even if for some of you, maybe you recognize a need for change, maybe you might be hesitating due to financial security or lack of clarity or self-doubt. I wonder if for some of you here, you might have a desire to switch to leadership or coaching or some sort of creative career, but I wonder if like fear of failure keeps you holding on to something that feels safer, right? Another thing with this card too is I feel like there could be some sort of like rigid structure that is resisting growth, right? So if your current workplace is stagnant and resistant to new ideas, or maybe it's like stuck in outdated systems, maybe it feels a bit suffocating, right? So maybe some of you here are in some sort of like corporate setting where decisions are slow, and maybe it's a place where job innovation is discouraged and maybe you feel a bit trapped, right? Maybe there are some like emotional attachments to a past version of yourself too, because sometimes when death appears in reverse, it can talk about holding on to like an old identity or a career path because it's familiar. So another example here is like maybe you're a writer and you're stuck in technical writing, but you are longing to just pursue creative storytelling, right? Or maybe you're a business owner and you're afraid to like change your niche, right? So those are some of the things that are coming up with the Death card in reverse here. We also have the Ace of Swords. So in terms of like your ideal work environment, I feel like you would thrive in a place where there's like clear communication, and it's a place where like analytical thinking is encouraged, right? So maybe this is a workplace where your ideas and your insights and your problem solving skills are very much valued. So maybe you would thrive as like a strategist or a consultant or a writer or an analyst, where your ability to like cut through confusion and see the truth is an asset, right? And that's just one example. I like to say that all the examples that I give here, this list is like not exhaustive. If you don't hear what it is that you want to be doing, please don't like discount that or discourage it. Follow follow your heart for sure. Now, with the Ace of Swords here, I also feel like you would do really well in a space that has opportunities for innovation and fresh perspectives, right? So I definitely think, pile one, that you excel in a space that allows you to brainstorm and propose new strategies and maybe even challenge outdated thinking. So maybe for some of you here, a tech startup or some sort of creative agency or some sort of research-based job where you're encouraged to introduce new solutions rather than follow rigid structures, like maybe that would be a good fit. I also feel like for some of you here, having like this fast-paced, intellectually engaging work would be good for you, right? So maybe environments that require quick thinking, maybe sharp decision making, you know, things like precision. So for example, maybe for some of you here, a legal profession would be great, right? Like a lawyer or a paralegal. Maybe even for some of you here, journalism or like debate coaching or being a marketing strategist, where being articulate and very decisive is very valuable and very key, right? I also feel like you would be aligned with like a work culture that was more like ethical and like truth oriented, right? So I think that you would thrive in a workplace that really does value things like transparency, like honesty and intellectual integrity. So I feel like some of you here, like, you would not like to be in some sort of manipulative like corporate setting, but you would excel in a role where truth seeking is rewarded, right? Like investigative journalism or research or even some sort of like advocacy work. Pile one, I feel like what you need to lean into with this Ace of Swords energy is to seek work that is very mentally stimulating. I think maybe you would do great with work that's like very idea driven. I also feel like you could be really good at pursuing roles that reward things like honesty, things like integrity, things like, you know, having sharp thinking. I also feel like, pile one, it would be really important to consider fields that allow you to either innovate or strategize or to communicate complex ideas effectively. So I feel like some possible career paths based on this energy are like strategic roles, right? So being like a marketing strategist or a business consultant or a brand manager. I feel like communication-based careers could be really great too, like being a journalist or a content creator or an editor or a legal analyst. Another thing here too is being in a problem-solving field, right? So like an investigative journalist, researcher, or a software developer, right? Maybe even for some of you here, being in a truth and ethics-driven profession would be something that aligns with you, right? So like a lawyer or an activist or an ethics consultant. I also think that for some of you here too, you might really like creative work that's structured. So like a UX designer, right? Or an architect or a technical writer, something like that. I feel like with the Death card in reverse and the Ace of Swords, I also feel like it's time to let go of jobs that feel dead, right? Like where you feel unchallenged or uninspired or stagnant. It's time to release any sort of fear of making a change due to comfort or past investments or uncertainty. And I also feel like it's important to release any sort of rigid workplace that resists innovation, right? And forward movement. And it's important to like maybe let go of places that limit your intellectual freedom. I feel like the career types that like may not work for you right now are like repetitive, unchanging jobs, right? So like, I mean, I'm just gonna start listing examples. So like data entry, like rigid bureaucratic roles, those types of things, or like work that stifles truth or innovation, right? So like if you work in a toxic corporate setting or an industry that's built on some sort of like outdated method, or maybe like roles that demand emotional labor but lack mental stimulation, right? Like customer service without growth opportunities. Let's get some more information for you. Pile one. Ooh, okay, so we have vacation. You will be traveling soon. I feel like maybe a vacation will like change your perspective on something, maybe give you some fresh insights, maybe point you in the right direction. Pay attention to signs, symbols, synchronicities, businesses that you see on vacation that you feel drawn to, work that you feel drawn to. Sometimes we have to give ourselves that quiet time to like recuperate and to tune into self so that we can actually hear the insights and our inner wisdom a lot more clearly. So next I want to get into the ideal work environment for you. Let's talk about the features, the key features of it all. I just have to mention pile one. If you've heard my baby crying in the background, don't worry, I'm a mama. All of you here who have been here since day one know that. And so if you hear kid noises in the background, that's what it is. Hubby is on duty and we are set. I told myself I would not apologize for kid noises in the background. So here we are. Okay, so your ideal work environment. We have the white raven spirit, and this one says trust in magic. Also, don't mind my dog barking. I've got a lot of homies in the house. Okay, so white raven spirit, trust in magic. So I feel like what would be best for you, pile one, is a career aligned with synchronicity and purpose. So I feel like your career shouldn't feel forced, but it should feel divinely aligned. I feel like your ideal work environment is one where opportunities appear at the right time. I feel like pile one, you thrive when you feel that your work is guided by a higher purpose rather than just logic or effort. So for example, maybe some of you here would be great at being a creative entrepreneur who follows their intuitive nudges and sees how one opportunity leads to another effortlessly. I also feel like you would do really well to trust your instincts and take inspired action. I feel like a workplace that values intuition and spontaneity and trusting the process would be really great. So maybe an example here would be like a job where you feel free to test new ideas or to experiment or to trust that success will follow, right? Such as an artist or a healer or a coach or like a spiritual teacher in some way, maybe even like a spiritual content creator, if that resonates with some of you here. But I also feel like there's like a sense of destiny or like meant to be work here. So pile one, I feel like you need an environment where you see the bigger picture and you feel connected to a larger mission. So maybe this is a role in education or publishing or storytelling, or again, like some sort of spiritual or metaphysical business where you feel like you're channeling wisdom that's meant to be shared. Pile one, I think you would do great in a work environment that would give you some sort of freedom to follow unexpected paths. So I feel like your ideal job isn't overly structured. It allows for unexpected shifts and divine detours and serendipitous encounters, right? So maybe for some of you, you're like a real estate agent, right? Where you can like work remotely, but you have those in-person like opportunities as well. Maybe some of you here are like, you would do great as a traveling consultant or a field researcher or a intuitive business coach who follows opportunities as they arise, right? Again, I'm really feeling like YouTuber for a lot of you here too. We also have the student here. And so this one I feel like represents you being in a career of lifelong learning and growth. I feel like your ideal work environment must allow for like continuous learning and exploration and evolution. So I feel like I'd be looking out, if I were you, I'd be looking out for places of work that have this culture of learning and curiosity, right? So I feel like pile one, you need to be in a mentally stimulating environment where learning is constant. So for example, a job in academia or research or journalism, where every project brings some sort of new insight in. Or maybe you want to work in a place where mentorship and guidance are available. So maybe you want to work in a workplace that encourages mentorship and collaboration rather than some sort of like rigid hierarchy. So for example, maybe some of you here work in a creative studio or an apprenticeship-based profession, or working under some sort of industry leader who teaches through experience. I also feel like you would do great in a place where like hands-on experience was valued over theory, right? So like I feel like you would learn best through doing rather than just absorbing information. So again, like a career in real estate or coaching or business ownership or some sort of like artisan craft where you learn by engaging rather than memorizing. I just really feel like many of you here would do well in some sort of role that evolves over time. So I feel like your ideal job doesn't stay the same forever, and you need a career that grows with you and adapts to, you know, whatever new passions that you want to follow. So maybe some of you here are going to be like a freelancer or a creative professional or some sort of entrepreneur who reinvents their work as they gain more skills, right? Like constantly reinventing yourself as you see fit. So again, best fit jobs and workplaces for you, I feel like it's fields that really do value synchronicity and inspiration, right? Spiritual coaching, intuitive entrepreneurship, artistic fields, writing, publishing. I also feel like careers that encourage either ongoing education or mastery. So again, things like research, right? Things like academia, things like philosophy, things like astrology, right? Psychology. Again, pile 1, you would do great to work in some sort of like dynamic and flexible environment. So consulting, freelancing, real estate, some sort of field where your role evolves with experience, like I spoke about earlier. And then I also feel like you would be great in a workplace with a mission or a higher calling. So maybe for some of you, a nonprofit resonates, right? Or wellness fields, ethical business ventures, or some sort of industry that feels guided rather than purely profit driven. And then just with all of this too, I feel like what to avoid here, again, rigid corporate structures, right? Something you want to stay away from places that limit your creativity and intuition. You probably want to stay away from jobs with no room for growth or learning, right? So like repetitive tasks, micromanagement, those things. And another thing too is I feel like you probably want to avoid careers where success is purely transactional rather than meaningful. So I feel like it would be really amazing, especially to take these next steps to align with that ideal work environment. Some things that you can do here is to lean into new learning opportunities, right? Is there some sort of subject or skill calling to you right now? I would also, again, follow signs and synchronicities. Pay attention to where unexpected doors open. I would also consider mentorship or teaching roles, like maybe you thrive both as a student and a teacher in your work. And also just remember here, pile 1, trust that the path is going to unfold for you, right? Don't force what doesn't feel right. Magic happens when you allow things to flow. Another thing here that I want to do is quickly, I would love to pull some more insights from our Animal Power book. I'll have this linked for you in the description. But let's get some messages from the Raven Spirit. So we have Raven here. This one says divine timing, spiritual law, messenger, shape-shifting, mysticism and magic, language, intention, and communication. Ooh, okay. For any of you interested in the spiritual realm, total confirmations. But also for other fields too, like in the communication realm. So, when to work with me? When you want to be a better communicator, when you want to be in a sacred alignment with the universe, when you're ready to face darkness so that you can experience light, when you're ready for a shift in consciousness. Energy medicine. My powers are deep and vast. I teach how to enter the void and then bring back the wisdom needed to manifest what you want. Ooh, interesting. I am the master of divine creation. Some may fear my processes because I teach of going into darkness to free more light. It is in this way that you become less afraid of the unknown and more connected to trusting the mysteries of life. While I represent death and rebirth, I'm sorry, but another confirmation, you have the death card here. So, and that's all about like transformation and rebirth. So, while I represent death and rebirth, this process is not to be feared. As one way dissolves, you are then in a new space to have a higher aligned creation come forward. When I call and come to you, I am delivering a specific message. Is this time in your life marking a profound turning point? I bring forward the energies of shifts in consciousness, awakenings, and intelligence. When present, I carry information around deep change occurring in your life. It is time for you to embrace the profound wisdom and gifts that you carry. Call upon me to empower them within you. Interesting. So, how can you move toward your ideal environment, pile 1? We do have the deep replenishment card here. This one says retreat, rest, be held. So with this card, I feel like some of you here feel burnt out or exhausted, right? Or you feel like you've been putting in too much effort. And maybe this feels like it's blocking you from like fully stepping into your career, right? So instead of pushing harder, your path forward requires you to take a step back to realign yourself, right? So if you've been overworking or chasing something that doesn't feel aligned, then it's time to pause. So if you're in a job that drains you, consider stepping back and creating space for more clarity and more kind of like stillness within you before making that next move. Another big thing here too is I feel like restoring your energy before making any big decisions is going to be really important. So your next job or your next career shift should probably come from a place of clarity and not things like desperation or being in survival mode. So, you know, maybe you want to take a short break or engage in self-care in whatever way you love to do best, right? If you love to golf, do that. You love to go to the spa, do that. You love to read a book in silence, do that, right? It can be as luxurious or as simple and cheap as you want it to be. But maybe it's taking a nap too. Sometimes I'm like, I just need a break. And it's like, dude, please go take like a 3-hour nap and wake up and you're going to be fine. So yes. I just feel like all in all, you want to make sure, pile one, that you step away from any sort of toxic work environment and regain your sense of purpose, right? So again, like maybe you got to take a little bit of maybe you need to take a little bit of a vacation to reassess and get really clear. Because like sometimes when you take a vacation, you're like, okay, like I think I can probably just go back to my work or whatever. But if you take a long enough vacation, you're like, I've experienced enough life not being at this place and I think I like it better, right? That's for some of you here. So again, restore your energy before you make big decisions. And I think that this is going to give you the time to tune into what truly fulfills you, right? Because your ideal career is one that's going to nourish you and not just pay the bills. So if you've been working in a very high stress or rigid environment, start asking, what kind of work actually energizes me? I think it's also important to spend time in retreat or reflection or in spiritual connection. So I wonder if your next move is going to come from things like divining, right? Pulling tarot, pulling oracle, meditating, journaling, being in nature, right? Doing some quiet self-reflection. Because I feel like if you're unclear about your direction, it's important to spend time visualizing your ideal day in your dream job, right? What does it look like? What does it feel like? For me, I remember when I first started doing these exercises, I was like, this feels stupid. I don't want to do it. I don't want to write it out. I just want the good stuff. I don't want to have to like script it out, but it really does help you to like get in that vibration. So whether it's music or scripting it out through journaling or, you know, making a vision board or whatever it is that gets you in that energy of feeling abundant is a really cool practice. And so I just think that it's important to get very clear on like what this dream work environment looks like, feels like for you, because that's when you can start drawing it more in, right? You need clarity before you can start magnetizing things. I mean, we magnetize things to us all day long, but when you get clear about what you want to magnetize, baby, the manifestations are off the chart. So yes. We also have South Node. This one says past. So with this one, I feel like it's really important for you to give yourself time to release any sort of past career patterns that you feel like are holding you back. So the South Node represents your past life experiences or your old skill sets and your comfort zones. The South Node, it represents your past life experiences, your old skill sets, maybe even, you know, your comfort zones. So with this pile one, I feel like it's time to let go of, again, limiting career patterns that no longer serve your growth. So what needs to be released here, right? So I feel like this represents a career that feels safe but unfulfilling, right? So maybe some of you here are holding on to a career that's comfortable but doesn't really light you up, right? So maybe you're staying in a stable but an uninspiring job because it's what you've always done, or because other people expect it, or, you know, you're afraid of like not having that stability. I also feel like this could represent over-reliance on old skills instead of expanding into new ones. So I feel like pile one, you're probably very, very skilled in certain areas, and I feel like your soul is calling you towards something new. Maybe you've always been in administrative roles, but deep down you want to be some sort of like creative entrepreneur, right? So I don't know if there's any sort of fear of leaving the past behind. And I think that pile one, your next step requires trusting the unknown instead of clinging to old habits. So if you've always worked in structured environments, maybe your soul is pulling you towards something more flexible or something more intuitive. So again, pile 1, make sure that you rest and reset before your next leap. I feel like it's so important for you to take a break, even if it's like small, to reconnect with what truly inspires you. I think for those of you who want to journal about what you want to leave behind, and then journal about what you want to call in. I also think that it's really important here to identify career patterns that are holding you back. So what past jobs or what past roles are you just completely done with? What are you not going to entertain anymore? And then, what career expectations, both from yourself and from others, are you ready to release? And I think that it's important for you to start moving toward your future path in very small steps, right? So take a class or explore a side project or test out a new career path without fully committing it. Yeah, just trust that the right opportunities are going to unfold for you, right? So let go of the old job identities and open yourself up to new, unexpected career directions that come up, So let's dive into any additional info that you might need to know around your ideal work or career environment, pile 1. So we have give to the mind, and the mind gives back. It says the mind, inspiration, mood, and cycle. So I do think that your thoughts and your moods and your mental energy, especially when it comes to like energy reserves and like energy levels, this plays a major role in shaping that work environment, especially an ideal one for you. So I feel like pile 1, instead of like forcing productivity, I feel like your career success is going to come from working in alignment with your natural mental and emotional cycles, right? So I think that your ideal work should be something that flows from your natural mental and creative rhythms. I think that if you have bursts of creativity in the morning, but you feel drained by the afternoon, then a traditional 9 to 5, like it might not suit you, right? So maybe freelancing or project-based work could be better. And I think it's also important to recognize how mood affects your work performance, because your emotions and your mindset directly impact your ability to work at your highest potential. So if your current job drains your energy or puts you in that negative mindset, then it's time to shift towards work that inspires rather than depletes you, right? It's also really important to acknowledge your mental and career growth cycles. And I think that pile 1, you have a mind that naturally moves through phases of expansion, right? Like learning new things, and it moves through phases of contraction too, right? So integrating and resting. So if you feel like you've been stuck in some sort of repetitive job without a new challenge, like maybe you crave intellectual stimulation. Maybe you want to consider a role that allows for continuous learning, like consulting or research or, creative problem solving. I also feel like if your current job is like very mentally exhausting or uninspiring or overly rigid, and you keep seeing all the signs that you're out of sync with your ideal career energy, especially like if meetings, rigid schedules, repetitive tasks, like they're very draining to you, maybe trust that instinct to like explore, right? Explore a more flexible and creatively engaging career path, pile 1. So yeah, we also have intro here. So it says the world is a noisy place, and that noise makes its way into your mind. When your inner landscape is swirling, it's time to ground. Return to yourself. Feel your way down to your roots. Move through all of the thoughts and emotions to remind yourself of who you are. Getting grounded doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it will do you good. When you can hear yourself, the noise doesn't seem so loud. So again, I feel like this is another sign for you to rest, retreat, right? Be held. Allow yourself to have this incubation period, right? This period of metamorphosis. It's almost like that caterpillar, right? That goes into its moment of cocoon. And, there's a moment of like, I don't want to say it's like dormant, right? But like, take a moment to pause, right? Take a moment to ground yourself. Take a moment to be like silent and quiet enough within yourself to hear the inner wisdom that your higher self or the universe or God or whatever it is that resonates with you, because we have space for everybody and their beliefs on this channel, right? And we're very eclectic here. So like what you believe, what I believe, what the next person believes, if it's different, we don't fault each other for it. We're just here to hold space for everybody and their unique needs, their unique differences, their beliefs. So that's what I love about this community. Love y'all. You guys are like my spiritual besties. I always say that. So yes, let's see. What do we want to do? Let's roll some astro dice. I like to roll number dice too, but it looks like one of my kids took one of the number die. So we don't have the other one, but we have like a whole bunch more. So maybe next time, but we'll roll some astro dice. Again, pile 1. Give us more info on pile 1's ideal work environment. Okay, so we have Uranus in Scorpio in the 7th house. So with Uranus in Scorpio in the 7th house, pile 1, I feel like your ideal work environment is going to thrive on deep partnerships and having collaborations that are deeply transformative, and also having this like sense of shared intensity. So I do feel like you need autonomy within your partnerships, but it would be good if you had this like dynamic atmosphere that allows for innovation and the freedom to challenge norms. I feel like working with powerful strategic individuals or in fields that involve either psychology or research or finance or the occult could be really fulfilling. And I feel like a setting that embraces change and mystery, and again, this like unconventional problem solving, is going to be something that keeps you engaged. Thank you so much, pile 1. Thank you so much, friends. Please give this video a big thumbs up if it resonates with you. Comment below with what came up for you, with what resonates. You know that you all are my spiritual besties, so you know I love to spill tea with you all in the comments. I just love chatting with you all. Subscribe if you haven't already and you feel called to. Take care of yourself. I do hope to see you on the next reading after this. Check out my channel, Tidal Tarot. I've got a bunch of other readings for you to check out, as well as other videos for you to explore. Again, if you feel called to my personal development and spirituality podcast or my online shop, please give it a look. I have it all linked for you in the description. And yes, if not this time, I'll see you on the next video. Bye, friends. See you next time. Love y'all. Hey, pile 2. Hey, friends. Welcome to your reading. Let's talk all about your ideal work or career environment. Let's talk about the current work energy, right? What's not working? What is working? Let's get into it. Let's get the tea. So we have the 7 of Cups in reverse here. And so with the 7 of Cups in reverse, it can symbolize things like coming out of a period of indecision, or illusion or wishful thinking. It can also talk about being overwhelmed by too many choices or, unclear options, and now you're starting to gain clarity. When this card is in reverse, it often points to disillusionment. So maybe you had certain expectations about your work that haven't necessarily materialized, or, maybe you are realizing that some options weren't as good as they seemed. I wonder if also there's some sort of like lack of focus or feeling lost in distractions. And I wonder if sometimes it makes it hard to commit to like a clear career direction here. So if any of you here went through a period of either fantasizing about an ideal job and maybe now you're confronting reality and like trying to figure out what's possible, we also have the 3 of Pentacles here. And so with this one, it represents things like collaboration, things like teamwork, things like skill building. So I feel like your work is going to flourish when you're part of some sort of like cooperative and structured environment where like everybody brings some sort of unique strength to the table. It also points to mastery and like recognition of your skills. So pile 2, know that you're very valued for your expertise and all of your contributions matter. So this is the card that talks about the importance of learning from others and like really refining your craft. And this just means that like you thrive in a space where mentorship and professional growth are encouraged. So I feel like your ideal work environment based on these energies are like a place that like values like clarity and focus over illusions, right? So moving beyond that 7 of Cups reversed energy. So things like just like structured decision making, right? So since the 7 of Cups in reverse talks about like too many choices or distractions that could have been an issue, maybe your ideal work environment is something that would provide clear goals or realistic expectations or some sort of defined path for success. Like, I don't know if any of you here have like ever worked for like a boss who never quite specifically told you what you need to do or like what they want from you, and they're like, and every single little thing is like wrong, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, I literally would just tell me what you want then, like, clearly. Anyway, I feel like for some of you that's that energy. I also feel like maybe like you would benefit from having a career that was like practical over idealistic, right? And so that sounds like, and that does not sound like my channel's vibe at all, but like I feel like with this, you almost need a career that allows you to ground your creativity in like real world application, right? Rather than like getting lost in possibilities that like don't materialize. So I wonder if like streamlined choices would be better for you. So instead of like being pulled in many different directions, maybe you do your best work in a setting where your priorities are clear, maybe like tasks align with your long-term ambitions. I think that some example ideal careers or like work environments would be some sort of like structured but like very creative career where choices are refined into like very actionable steps, right? Like content creation, right? Content strategy, branding, digital marketing. Maybe a profession where decisions are based on logic and expertise rather than like some sort of fleeting inspiration, right? Like real estate or consulting or coaching. I also feel like maybe roles that allow you to have some sort of like creative freedom, but within some sort of like focused, well-organized system. So like project management in some sort of creative industry. That could be something very lucrative for you, pal, too. I also feel like the energy of like collaboration and recognition and skill building is here. So like this is all about like the Three of Pentacles, right? So like teamwork, synergy. I definitely feel like you thrive in a space where you can collaborate with skilled people and contribute your expertise, right? I think this is all about you also having a space where you can have respect for your abilities, right? So the best environment for you is one where your work is valued, it's recognized, it's where people can appreciate these unique skills that you bring, right? It's somewhere where continual learning can happen, because the Three of Pentacles can also represent things like mastery and refinement. So I do think that your ideal job includes some sort of like ongoing professional development. So again, and this list is not exhaustive. If you don't hear the job or the career that you want to do, don't discount your ideas. Please go after your dreams. But I just like to throw out fun examples, just for the fun of it. So I'm thinking straight away real estate, maybe like property management, right? Maybe some of you already have some sort of strong presence here. And I feel like the Three of Pentacles suggests that either working on high profile co-listings or like expanding into luxury real estate could really bring you a lot more recognition and a lot more income. I also think that consulting or coaching could be something very good too. So like maybe a role where you guide others in like marketing or branding or business strategy, right? Somewhere where you can blend collaboration with individual expertise and development. I also feel like even like podcasting or like content creation, right? So say if you lean into like astrology or tarot or intuitive coaching, I feel like this could allow you to combine that creativity, right? So avoiding that like Seven of Cups confusion, but you're still engaging with others in this very structured, professional way, right? Another thing too is I feel like either like luxury sales or like client-based services, right? So some sort of career where you build relationships or some sort of like refinement of like high value deals or like working with a team of experts, right? So like luxury branding or event planning, right? So I think that your best work environment balances practical focus and then like collaborative expertise. So I definitely think that. So pile 2, let's dive into your ideal work environment. Let's talk about the features of your work environment. So we have giraffe spirit here, and this one says see the big picture. So I do feel like you would thrive in environments where you can step back and assess the larger landscape rather than being stuck in, like the daily minutia of things. I do feel like you need a career that allows for big picture thinking, for innovation, and for long-term planning rather than like short repetitive tasks. I also feel like with the Seven of Cups reversed here, I wonder if like you've been shifting from distractions to clarity. So I wonder if your ideal environment is one where you can make focused, strategic moves rather than being overwhelmed by too many possibilities. Now, with the Three of Pentacles here, I feel like that reinforces that teamwork and that skill building. So maybe your best role isn't just about contributing, but it's about having a say in how things develop over time. Maybe you would do great with a career that has room for growth or leadership or some sort of strategic decision making that suits you best. Now, I feel like some ideal career examples for giraffe spirit could be, like, I'm just throwing examples out again. So like real estate investment, development. So I wonder if for some of you, you might want to like look beyond individual sales to like high value, long-term property development, or maybe even portfolio building, right? Maybe for some of you here, you want to get into like consulting or business strategy, right? Maybe you want to help other people see the bigger picture in their business or their branding, or, things like financial planning. For those of you who are interested in content creation and thought leadership, I wonder if you would, love a work environment where you could be a podcaster or a speaker or a writer about personal growth or astrology or real estate or entrepreneurship. I also feel like for some of you here too, you might be into luxury branding or marketing, right? So working with high-end clients who really do appreciate long-term value and vision. We also have financial flow here. So with this card, I feel like this represents you having this steady and increasing wealth. I feel like your ideal environment is going to ensure that you have this reliable flow of money while also allowing for your continuous growth. So with the Three of Pentacles here, I feel like this talks about this coming from like collaboration and teamwork and honing your skills and not just like having isolated work. I also feel like with financial flow, this represents multiple income streams. So I feel like you're moving away from like confusion or unrealistic opportunities, and your financial success isn't just from random ventures, but they're from structured, intentional revenue streams. Again, I feel like it's time to focus on like high value transactions. So, no matter what industry you're in, I feel like your work should involve substantial financial rewards, right? For either like your high level expertise, rather than, chasing small inconsistent paychecks. The next thing I want to do here is I would love to pull more insights from our Animal Power book. I'll have this linked for you in the description. We have Giraffe Spirit here. So with Giraffe Spirit, this one says clairvoyance, connection between earth and sky, manifestation of high visions, going for it. When to work with me. When you're ready to get unstuck or overcome whatever is holding back, when you want to stop worrying, when you want to improve your personal relationships, when you want support to reach your highest dreams. Energy medicine. When you want to ground and manifest your visions, call upon me to be with you. I connect earth to sky. Lift your head, stand tall, walk in your power. I will support you in this. To vibrate higher and release yourself from lower vibration scenarios or people who are holding you back, work with my medicine and meditation. Expand your view of what is possible for you in your life. I enhance your intuition and spiritual vision. I bring a reminder to keep expanding courageously into the unknown. Living in this way will keep you more connected to the universe and the wisdom within you. Do not settle. I bring you grace and solid footing as you traverse your way through the school of life. Interesting. I keep feeling that message of like going for it, go for it, pile 2. So let's talk about how to go for it, right? How can you move towards your ideal environment? So we have inner temple. This one says devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. So I feel like this represents deepening your devotion to your path. So maybe your ideal work environment isn't just about financial success, but it's about purpose-driven work. So I feel like you need a career that resonates with your heart and feels very spiritually fulfilling. I also think this represents you making decisions from your inner wisdom. So the Seven of Cups reverse suggests that maybe you're moving away again from distractions, from illusions, and now it's time to refine your focus and eliminate any sort of external noise so that you can trust your inner voice. I also feel like whether this is through meditation or journaling or intuitive check-ins, you're going to be cultivating a habit of interconnection, and this is what's going to help you clarify your next moves, right? So building some sort of daily practice of alignment. So I think that maybe it would be beneficial for you, pile 2, to like start each workday with some sort of intentional reflection, right? Is this work aligned with my deeper purpose? I think it's important to also prioritize clients and projects and partnerships that really do feel meaningful and spiritually fulfilling to you. And if you're considering career shifts, it's time to follow what truly excites you rather than just what seems profitable. We also have Ceres. This one says nurture. So with this one, I feel like it's all about creating some sort of sustainable work environment, right? So the 3 of Pentacles here, it shows that teamwork is already working for you, right? And so with Ceres energy, this means that you should lean into nurturing relationships and partnerships and collaborations that support your long-term growth. It's also about care and support and fertility. So I feel like your ideal work should not drain you, but it should actually refuel your well-being. So if something in your current career feels depleting, maybe it's time to restructure your approach. I also feel like this represents like the balance between giving and receiving, right? So I feel like your career should feel mutually supportive, right? Nurturing others while ensuring that you're also receiving that abundance in return. So it could be really important for you to work with mentors, work with coaches, or some sort of mastermind to nurture your skills. I also feel like it's important for you to build systems that allow for like consistent financial flow without burnout, right? So whether this is things like passive income or premium offers or having some sort of streamlined business structure, I just feel like it's important for you to choose some sort of career path that allows you to uplift others, right? So coaching, teaching, curating any sort of valuable experience, right? But also implementing self-care in your career. So I do think that it's important to like work in a way that supports your emotional and your physical well-being. So let's get into any additional important information. We have the Alchemist here. This one says empowerment, pain, and sorceress. And it says, oh, I don't break that easy. Not anymore. Instead, I use things as fuel. Interesting. So yeah, I feel like the Alchemist doesn't just accept circumstances, but they transform them. So your career success is probably going to come from turning your challenges into wisdom, right? Turning your setbacks into growth and turning those financial blocks into flow. I feel like this could represent maybe using like your pain for fuel, for empowerment, right? So if any of you here have faced career disappointments or financial struggles or any sort of like creative stagnation, just know that these experiences are not failures, right? They are raw materials for your next breakthrough. So for example, if you've had like inconsistent income, you can actually create a business model that offers you stability and passive revenue, right? So if you've worked jobs that have drained your energy, you can build that work-life balance where you actually thrive. And I also think it's important to remind you that you are the creator of your own reality, right? See that big picture because you already have the vision. It's important for you to take control of your destiny by actively shaping your career path rather than reacting to your circumstances. So pile 2, what can you do, right? I feel like a couple things you can do here is you can develop some sort of like high value skill that allows you to charge premium rates, right? So whether this is, and again, this list is not exhaustive. If you don't hear what you want to be doing on here, please don't discount that. Please follow your heart. I just throw out a bunch of examples for fun so that we can start working with things. So, and we can start playing around with ideas. So again, maybe some of you want to get into real estate or consulting or content creation or coaching, right? I wonder too if some of you here would want to start using your own story of transformation to inspire others, whether this is through branding or speaking or mentorship. I also feel like for those of you who are in a transition, it's time for you to start experimenting boldly, right? Because your power is going to come from testing new ideas and then refining them. So I want to roll some astro dice. Let's get more information on pile 2's ideal work environment. Okay, so you have Saturn in Aries in the 12th house. So with Saturn in Aries in the 12th house, pile 2, I feel like your ideal work environment is one that allows for independence. It's one that allows you to take time to yourself or to have time alone. And it's also one that maybe involve some sort of spiritual or behind the scenes work. But this is something that also still challenges you to develop confidence and leadership. So I definitely feel like you thrive in roles where you can work autonomously, right? And you can explore hidden knowledge or serve some sort of greater purpose without that excessive external pressure. So I think structure here is necessary, right? We have Saturn, but it should be self-imposed rather than dictated by others. It's very much that Aries energy as well. So thank you, Pile 2. I hope that you really enjoyed this reading. I hope it gave you some fun, fresh ideas. I just appreciate you friends so much. You all know you're my spiritual besties. So please comment below. Let me know what came up for you, what pile you chose. You know I love to chat with you all in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please take care of yourself. Check out my channel, Tidal Tarot. I've got a bunch of other pick a card readings for you to explore, as well as other videos. And if you feel called to my personal development and spirituality podcast or my online shop, please check out the links in the description. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Love y'all, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, so pile 3. I totally got distracted and forgot to read you this last card, so let me read it for you here. When you're in a regular conversation with yourself, you become more aware of the conversations you need to have with others. It's time to bring the insights gathered from your inner world into the world around you. Verbalizing what's within can feel intimidating. Thankfully, you've developed the skills that will see you through. Listen with your whole body and you'll know when a conversation needs to happen. Inquire within as you prepare. Give pep talks as needed. You've cultivated your voice. It's time to share it. Time to share your voice, pile 2. All right. Hey, pile 3. Hey, friends. Let's dive into your reading all about your ideal work environment. So let's talk about your current work energy, right? What's not working? Maybe what is working? Let's just dive in. So in terms of what's not working, we have the 6 of Cups here. And so I wonder for some of you here, you feel like you are in a workplace that is stuck in the past, right? Like maybe some of you here have a job that relies too heavily on old traditions or like outdated expectations or even like nostalgia-based decision making, you know, things that feel restrictive. I feel like some of you are in an environment that refuses to evolve, right? Or something that's like emotionally draining. So I wonder for some of you here, maybe you're working in like a family business where past expectations limit your growth, right? Or maybe you work in a company that resists modernization. I also feel like this could represent some sort of like emotional entanglement at work, right? So a job where your personal relationships interfere with professionalism, right? So I don't know if any of you here are in a workplace where you feel pressured to emotionally support colleagues or to maintain past relationships that hold you back. I wonder for some of you here, you're in like a work setting where like friendships or past loyalties dictate business decisions rather than like logic or strategy. Another thing here is we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. And so I'm also wondering if for some of you here, pile 3, if you've been overgiving without proper compensation. So I wonder if some of you here are in a job that demands too much of your time and your energy and your personal resources without fair rewards. Maybe some of you here are in a role where you're expected to do unpaid labor, constantly help other people, or manage responsibilities that are beyond your job description. I also feel like with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse here, some of you here may be going through like a lack of financial security or stability, right? So maybe you feel like you're in a place that's left you financially unstable, or maybe you feel underpaid despite your efforts. So maybe some of you here in this pile are working long hours for little pay, or you're in a business partnership that drains your finances, or you know, you're in a role where you do all the work but you don't see any financial growth. I also feel like there's this energy of like micromanagement and like a lack of autonomy here. So I wonder, pile 3, if for some of you, you're in an environment that makes you feel like you have little control over your workflow, or, you know, maybe you feel excessively stifled or monitored, right? Maybe that potential of yours feels stifled. Maybe some of you here work in a job that requires you to ask permission for every small decision rather than allowing you to use that expertise freely. So what I think would work for you, right? What I think would be the work ideal environment for you based on these cards here, pile 3, is a forward-thinking, adaptable career path where things like innovation and strategy matter, right? Having this financially rewarding job that offers you independence and control over your earnings. I think that it would be great for you to find a professional setting that allows you to maintain healthy emotional boundaries. And maybe this is a role where you manage efficiently without having to over-nurture others. I would say in terms of, environments to avoid, I would avoid work environments that are either like stuck in old ways or that have emotional entanglements, positions that require excessive unpaid labor, right? Or like caretaking roles, any sort of job that has financial instability or like a lack of growth, or maybe even workplaces that like are highly micromanaged or that limit your autonomy. Those are places to avoid here. Now, I want to dive into your ideal work environment, right? Let's get into that a little bit more. Let's talk about the key features. So we have flamingo spirit. This one says embrace the in-between. So I feel like your ideal work environment is one that exists between structure and freedom, right? It's one that exists between stability and change, between practicality and creativity. I feel like Pile 3, you're somebody that thrives in transitional spaces. So whether this is guiding others through transformation or working in an industry that constantly evolves, or maybe even balancing multiple roles. I wonder too if like you would be really good at being in some sort of like hybrid or entrepreneurial work where you can shift between roles or projects, right? So say you're a real estate agent. A lot of that work is like remote work, working from home, right? Or working from your office. And then sometimes you're in the field and you're doing showings and you're doing inspections and, or being present for inspections, all those types of things. So that's just one thing. You could do that with coaching. You could do that with so many different things. I also have friends that are like accountants, and many of them work remotely as well. So, well, kind of hybrid because they can still go into the office and work there. So yeah, something where you can shift between roles or projects, right? I also feel like, again, your ideal setting is somewhere that like very much values adaptability, right? And innovation, and it's a place that allows for personal and professional growth. I feel like you would do great in a career that involves bridging gaps, right? So between people or ideas or industries. So some examples here, and remember that if you don't hear what you want to do on this list or the examples that I throw out here, please, please, please trust your gut, trust your heart, follow whatever it is that you feel led to. I just like to throw out a bunch of examples so we can start playing with ideas. Okay, so with this, I'm feeling like many of you here would be really good at being a consultant, right? Or a strategist, maybe in like real estate or business or finance, where you can help other people navigate change. And for those of you who are like, what are you talking about being a guide for finances if I feel like my finances aren't there? Trust. Everything that you're learning now is setting you up for success later. And you never know how much you sharing your story, you sharing your experiences and what's worked and what hasn't worked for you, by you sharing that with other people when you feel called to, right? When it feels right, use your discernment. That can change people's lives in so many different ways. So I definitely want to remind you not to discount your ability to be this natural this natural agent of change. So yeah, with this too, I feel like many of you here would be a great transformational coach, a mentor, right? Maybe helping people transition in life or career or mindset. I also feel like maybe for some of you here, you would do really well in a hybrid role in either like sales or investing or creative entrepreneurship, right? Something that you can do that you feel both analytical and intuitive. We also have abundant assembly here. And with this, I feel like your work is going to thrive in a very collaborative setting, but it's one that also allows you to be self-sufficient, right? So it's a place where you can connect with like-minded individuals who bring different skills and different perspectives to the table. But this is not a workplace where you're expected to take care of everyone, right? It's a space where mutual support leads to shared success. I'm wondering if for some of you here too, you kind of like work in like a co-working space or something like that. But yeah, I just think that Pile 3, you would do really well in like a team or a community-based approach that still allows you to shine as an individual. I think that it's a place that allows you for allows you to have opportunities to network, to build partnerships, right? To build wealth in some way. And I also feel like you would do great in a work culture that values contribution rather than competition. So maybe some of you here want to be, contributors to a certain publication that you love. Or maybe some of you here want to do like real estate partnerships where you co-list or you co-market properties for mutual success. I also feel like maybe some of you here, some sort of like creative collaboration in either content creation or digital marketing or media production. That could be something. Or maybe some of you here want to do some sort of entrepreneurial venture where you build a business alongside of like trusted partners, right? So the next thing I want to do here is I would love to get more insights from our Animal Power book. I have this linked for you in the description. Let's find out what else Flamingo Spirit has to share with us. So we have Flamingo. This one says balance, fun, emotional intelligence, open-heartedness, dedication to family and friends. When to work with me. When you need to find balance, when you need to let loose, when you need to spend time with or appreciate your friends and family more, when you need an emotional healing or clearing, when you want to open your heart. Energy medicine. My main medicine is balance. Is there an area of your life that is untended to and another area where you're focusing too much of your precious energy? Take an honest inventory and then invite me to help restore better balance. I am here to remind you to lighten up, be more carefree, and have some fun. Have you been playing small? Going along with what someone else wants more than what you and your intuition want? Stand tall and remember the bright and unique essence that you are. I represent strong emotions. If you've been riding some big emotions lately, do your best to celebrate that roller coaster. Your ability to feel is the gift of being alive. I'm also here to remind you to not fear the power of your heart and all the love you have inside. This is one of your greatest gifts, so do not close your heart from those willing and open to receiving. When was the last time you expressed your gratitude to your family and friends? It's important that those in your life feel important, seen, and appreciated. Wow. So pile 3, I think that what I've gathered from this is it's time for you to start having fun. It's time for you to start being more playful, right? Allowing that open-heartedness to kind of lead you. So where do you want to open your heart, pile 3? Right? Where do you want to open your heart? I also feel like this brings us back to that whole topic about community too. Let's talk about how to move toward your ideal environment. So we have Lemuria. This one says creating heaven on earth, it's happening. So I feel like your ideal work environment isn't something that you have to wait for, pile 3. It's something that you build, right? So your career path is something that should align with your bigger vision of this abundant, fulfilling life. So some action steps that you can take here, pile 3, is to shift from survival mode to creation mode, right? So start crafting the work-life balance that you want. It's important to infuse purpose and meaning into what you do, even if you're in this transitional phase. I also think it's important for you to leverage your unique skills to build something sustainable and fulfilling, right? So some examples here, since we were talking about real estate. Say you're co-listing in real estate, maybe you want to focus on expanding your niche, right? Or branding or marketing strategy. Or for some of you here, if you're considering a new job or some sort of new investment, maybe you want to choose one that aligns with your long-term vision. I also feel like for some of you here, if you're feeling uncertain, this card could be a sign for you to trust that the right opportunities will unfold as you take each action step. We also have Uranus. This one says change. If you want to know what all the planets mean in astrology, definitely check out the link in the description to my podcast, the That's Deep podcast. I have episodes on the simple way to understand what each of the planets mean, how to break down your birth chart. I also talk about other self-discovery tools like personality types, like human design, those types of things. I teach you how to use these self-help tools to leverage your success in your life, career, and your relationships, and so much more. So check that out if you feel called. Quickly here, Uranus symbolizes radical transformation, right? It symbolizes things like innovation and like having unexpected breakthroughs. So I do feel like for you to move into your ideal work environment, you must be willing to embrace change, right? Whatever that looks like for you. If that looks like shifting industries or restructuring your role or adopting new strategies, I just think that it's really important for you to be open to sudden opportunities, right? Uranus brings unexpected shifts that can work in your favor. And it's important for you to take bold, unconventional steps, right? So I do feel like your success lies in breaking traditional molds. It's time to start trusting your intuition, pile 3, when you make career moves, right? Even if they seem risky at first. I think that if an unexpected opportunity arises, even one that's outside of your comfort zone, this could be your sign to consider it seriously. If you've been feeling stagnant, it's time to shake things up by innovating your approach, right? So whether you're in real estate or business or investing, I think that it's time for you to lean into new trends and maybe new strategies as it has to do with like the digital world as well. For any additional information here that we might need to know, you have Flower Child. This one says momentum, creativity, and action. So I feel like this card reinforces the idea that your ideal work environment is not something that's static, right? So it's one that you can channel passion and creativity and movement into tangible success. It's something that you can thrive when you're actively engaged and generating ideas and seeing results, right? So I think that your creativity plus some sort of strategy is going to equal your success. So it's time to remember to avoid work that feels slow or stagnant or repetitive. I also feel like your energy attracts opportunities, so it's important for you to stay in motion and doors will open for you. So keep refining things, right? Keep like putting yourself out there, keep doing outreach. If you're growing an online presence, focus on that content creation, right? Focus on engagement strategies. If you're somebody that's self-employed, right? Develop some sort of workflow that balances your creativity with structure. So how to get there? I think it's time for you to start building the life that you want to see, right? So stop waiting for the perfect job and actually start shaping that career proactively, right? Welcome unexpected changes. I think that new opportunities could come up suddenly. And pile 3, just remember, stay in motion, right? Your energy and your creativity, it's going to fuel that momentum and it's going to attract success. We also have, you have what it takes. So this one says you have what it takes. You've lived through whirlwind years. You've had moments where you thought you couldn't keep going and somehow you're still here. Your story isn't quite like anyone else's. Your winding journey can be a strength if you allow it to be. It's okay to take a different path. Release outside expectations and reclaim your confidence. You're resilient, you're resourceful, you're supported. Whether you leap or baby step, remember you have what it takes. Wow. I think there's a lot of like self-worth, self-belief in there, right? This is about you taking inventory of your life and all of your experiences and the things that you've been through and really seeing it as valuable lessons, valuable experiences, valuable teachings, right? Ooh, and I forgot to read this little thing here, but on her book it says, I hope that over everyone else you learn to make yourself proud, with like yourself underlined. I love that. Okay, let's roll some Astro dice. What else do we need to know about pile 3's ideal work environment? So you have Mercury in Taurus in the 6th house. Oh, excuse me, in the 9th house. So with Mercury and Taurus in the 9th house here, I feel like your ideal work environment is one that feels stable and intellectually enriching and something that allows for deep methodical thinking. So I definitely think that pile 3, you would thrive in a setting that values practical wisdom, somewhere that values long-term growth, somewhere that, you know, values things like tangible results. So whether this is you working in academia or publishing or you know, travel related industries or law, I feel like some sort of structured yet flexible space that encourages your learning and communication and maybe even like philosophical exploration would suit you best. I feel like pile 3, many of you here probably prefer a very calm, aesthetically pleasing environment where you can actually work at your own steady pace without feeling that pressure to rush. So thank you so much, pile 3. I hope that that all resonates. I hope that that was super fun. I hope you had fun playing with new ideas for yourself and your life and your work. I just want to thank you all for being here, friends. I appreciate you so much. You know, you guys are my spiritual besties, so thank you. If this video resonates, give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. comment below with what pile you chose. You know I love to connect with you all in the comments. Let me know what came up for you. Let me know what you noticed. And yeah, take care of yourself. Check out my channel, Tidal Tarot. I've got a bunch of other readings for you to explore. But if not this time, I will see you next time. Also, if you feel called to check out my personal development and spirituality podcast or my online shop, that is linked for you in the description. All right, friends, love you. Bye. Hey, Pile 4. Hey, friends. Welcome to your reading. Let's dive into your ideal work environment. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is your current work energy, right? What's not working, what's working, let's dive into it. So we have the 5 of Wands in reverse here. And so I feel like you need a workplace that feels like there's less conflict and more collaboration, right? So maybe some of you here are in a workplace with either like excessive competition, or there's a lot of ego clashes, or there's a lot of like disorganization. I feel like Pile 4, you thrive in an environment where people collaborate rather than constantly try to outshine other people. So if you've been dealing with either like a chaotic work situation where it's, you know, coworkers not being on the same page or having very unclear expectations, just know that your ideal space should feel a lot more harmonious. With this too, I feel like it would be better for you to be in a workplace that values teamwork and synergy over rivalry. And I think that, okay, like for example, right, like if you are on some sort of creative team where brainstorming is encouraged rather than criticized, then, you know, that would be a better fit. We also have the High Priestess here in reverse, and with this it can talk about things like hidden agendas or even like a disconnect from, you know, your intuition. So I feel like maybe some of you here are in an environment where there's some secrecy, or there's a lack of transparency, or maybe this is like an environment that it makes you feel disconnected from your intuition, right? So I don't know if you feel stifled when you're not able to trust those instincts, or when leadership or management even like withholds important information from you, right? Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a teammate, a team member. But yeah, I just feel like if your intuition has felt clouded in a previous job or your current job, you definitely need a space where wisdom, and especially inner wisdom, is honored. So I think that you would thrive in a work culture where people openly share insights and where trust is built through honest communication. And I would say to avoid places where decision making is just shrouded in mystery, or where you're expected to just follow orders without understanding the bigger picture. And for those of you who are in situations like this, my heart is with you, because I have been in that situation before and it is infuriating, right? So let's dive into your ideal work environment. Let's talk about the key features of it. We have Frog Spirit, and so this one says clear out the clutter. So with this, I feel like your ideal work environment has a lot to do with simplicity and purpose. So I do feel like your ideal work environment is a place that values clarity. It's a place that is well organized, and it's a place that is very intentional. So with Frog Spirit here, I feel like it's time for you to like let go of any sort of unnecessary distractions, right? Whether that's a cluttered physical space, or, you know, bureaucratic like inefficiencies or toxic dynamics. I just feel like Pile 4, you need a workspace where people focus on what truly matters rather than getting lost in unnecessary complexity. So for example, maybe some of you here would do really well in like a minimalist office space or remote work that allows you to design your environment, right? Or some sort of company that has a culture that prioritizes work-life balance over hustle culture. Because I have a really good friend, and she works for a government agency that actually like really prioritizes work-life balance and like mental health, and they encourage like 2-hour lunches, and I'm just like, whoa, I've never seen that from like a government organization before. So anyway, yeah, I just feel like it's about work-life balance over like hustle culture is what I'm feeling. We also have the Adventurer. And so with the Adventurer here, I feel like there's a lot of excitement and exploration for you. I feel like you would thrive in an environment that allows for growth and learning and some sort of like, some level of like unpredictability, right? So I think that routine can be very useful, but it shouldn't feel stifling. So Pile 4, I feel like many of you here would enjoy a career that either involves traveling or constant learning or having this ability to experiment with new ideas. Maybe some of you here would do really well with a job in consulting or entrepreneurship or journalism or real estate, right? Something that keeps you engaged and moving forward. I also want to get some more insights from our animal power book. I'll have this linked for you in the description. But let's see what else Frog Spirit has to say. Okay. So, Frog. This one says water, healing, moving forward, emotions, wealth, cleansing toxicity. When to work with me. When you're in need of emotional healing, when you're working with the element of water, when you need courage to move forward, when you want to allow in more wealth, when you want to open new possibilities. So, energy medicine. Water is one of my main medicines. I do feel like you need colleagues and mentors and collaborators who uplift and support you rather than people who drain your energy, right? So if you're feeling disconnected in your current work environment, I would start networking with people who share your vision. So what's an action step you can take, right? Maybe you can attend some sort of industry event or join a mastermind group or reach out to like-minded professionals on LinkedIn, right? The more that you surround yourself with people who get you, the more opportunities will flow. I would also say don't discount like social media platforms either, right? YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, those places. I found the most community, in my personal opinion, here on YouTube with you all. You guys know you're my spiritual besties and I love you all, so thank you so much for being here. But also I found, especially for those of you who are into more like witchy communities and like those vibes, TikTok has a really great space for some of those communities too. I've definitely found some really awesome friends that I just were very much like-minded, you know? So just want to let you know that there are people who are like-minded and like-souled, and sometimes you just have to kind of maybe move beyond your comfort zone or open your heart or kind of like open up your perspective on what that might look like, right? Because like-minded people come in all sorts of different shapes and forms, and sometimes they don't look like us, and I'm sure you already know that. But anywho, we also have Vesta. This one says Hearth, and so to me this represents things like purpose and dedication, right? So Vesta, it represents things like devotion, and I feel like this means that your ideal career environment is, it's one that you can feel deeply connected to your work, right? So it's not just about making money, but it's also about creating something meaningful, whether this is like a personal project or a business or a role that aligns with your soul's calling. I feel like your workspace should feel like home, right? Whatever business that you build for yourself, or maybe it's like a nonprofit role that aligns with your values, or you know, maybe it's a creative career. I just feel like whatever it is, it's going to be work that reflects your inner world. Now, let's dive into any additional information that we need to know. We have external center. This one says Guru, protection, and peace. And it says there is a place within me, still, calm, steady, eternal. Wow, it's almost like I see it as like mantras. So with this, I feel like, again, you need this environment that offers you peace and stability and wisdom. I feel like you are being guided toward a work life that feels spiritually aligned rather than purely practical, you know? So I do feel like the best setting for you is going to be one that allows you for moments of introspection, allows you for moments of mentorship and a greater sense of purpose. So I definitely think that your ideal career environment is one of clarity, it's one of adventure, it's one of soul-aligned work. So I really do think that Pile 4, you need to remove any sort of distractions, right? And you need to surround yourself with supportive people and prioritize meaningful work over just making a paycheck, right? So whether this is entrepreneurship or, you know, creative fields or mission-driven industries, I feel like you're being called to create a career that feels like home. We also have what's unsaid. And so with this one, it says, your friend says that she's fine, Oh, when your friend says that she's fine, you look for context to see what she really means. There might be an unspoken, I'm overwhelmed, or I'm scared. We're using body language and tone for context in our conversations with others. Do you examine your internal conversations for what is left unsaid? We're used to using body language and tone for context in our conversations with others. Do you examine your internal conversations for what is left unsaid? Your racing heart might lead you to the insight you've been missing. The thought you're not giving voice to might be exactly what you need to address. Get curious and seek context. There are gifts waiting in what's unspoken. Interesting. There are gifts waiting in what's unspoken. Okay, so let's roll some astro dice to get more information on pile 4's ideal work environment. Okay, so we have South Node and Cancer in the 11th house, and your ideal work environment is going to be one where you feel emotionally secure, but you are also encouraged to step outside of your comfort zone. I wonder if you do really well in an environment that is nurturing, one that's community focused, right? One that's I wonder if some of you here could be drawn to nurturing community-focused roles that are meant to evolve toward greater independence and leadership. I feel like it would be important with this to avoid like overly dependent or emotionally enmeshed team dynamics, right? I think that you would thrive in environments that prioritize things like objectivity and innovation, and maybe even having like a chance to do some structured collaboration while also allowing you to set boundaries and focus on things like long-term professional growth. Thank you so much, Pile 4. Thank you, friends. I really appreciate you. You guys know that you are my spiritual besties, so I appreciate you. If this video was fun, I hope it was. I hope you had fun playing with new ideas. If it was, please give it a big thumbs up. Comment below with what came up for you, what resonates, what you noticed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. Please check out my channel, Tidal Tarot. I've got a bunch of other videos for you to explore. If you feel called to check out my podcast or my online shop, I have that linked for you in the description below. So until next time, friends, take care. Love y'all. Bye.